In this video I'm going to take a BMC geared hub motor apart, and here are all the tools that are needed for that. O-ring pliers, 3-leg puller, and a driver for the puller, screwdriver, and a lever for the screwdriver. Freewheel doesn't need to be removed, but it makes it a little easier if it is removed. First step is to protect motor cable from being damaged while working on the motor. Unscrew the nut and pull washers to the end of the cable. Now bend the cable so it's below the end of the axle. If something comes into contact with an axle, it will not cut through the cable. Turn over the motor. The next step is to loosen 9 cover bolts. It can be a little bit tricky because manufacturers sometimes uses a lot of Loctite, which makes it hard to loosen the screw. And the screw is made of mild steel, so it's very easy to strip the Phillips screw head, and then the only way to really get it out is to drill it out, which is a lot of extra work. So to prevent it, just apply a lot of pressure, a lot of downward pressure on the screwdriver, and then use some kind of lever to turn it. After the screws are loose, I can use electric screwdriver to save some time. Now the cover can be removed, but some force is needed to break the sealant that is used to set the cover in the hub and prevent moisture from getting in the motor. So I will do it with the 3-leg puller, driving out the hub cover from the other side. Okay, make sure the wire is tucked in well so the puller doesn't damage it. Usually only small pressure is needed. Probably don't want to use too much pressure to prevent damaging the aluminum cover because it is easy to bend. So I'm just going to use my hand to drive the cover out. I'm dropping a little bit of oil on the axle to prevent damaging the axle seal when the motor is being pulled out. Now you want to unbend the wire because we're going to push in the axle through the hub, and also you want to make sure that the threaded part of the axle doesn't touch the axle seal inside the hub because it's really easy to damage. I'm going to try to keep the axle centered to prevent damaging the axle seal. Just do it slowly. Now gears can be inspected. But to do any further disassembly, cable connectors need to be removed in order to pull the cable through the hub. Carefully inspect gearing for any loose particles, or as well as composite gears. Sometimes they can be missing tooth or two. Instead of cutting off the connectors, I actually prefer to cut off the wires and then solder them back together. To do that, I first remove some of the cable housing, and I just make cut with sharp blade, but don't cut it all the way through, just enough to split the housing. If all wires are cut at the same spot, then when you put them back together, there will be considerably thicker portion of the cable because of all the joints in insulation around the joints. So I like to cut wires at different spots or different length. Just pick random points, just make sure they're all different length. And now do the Hall effect wire, or wires. Next step is to remove gear clutch assembly. First, remove the washer. Here's washer and an O-ring. Now use 3-leg puller to pull the gears off, and again protect the wire from being damaged by tacking it in. Only small force is needed to pull the gears off. So right here I didn't have to use very much force at all. Sometimes it needs a little bit more force. Now this is an important step. There's a key, the axle key, that actually fell out when I was taking the gears out. It's important to locate it right away because it's actually possible for it to go inside the motor, and then it'll be a disaster because it'll damage windings or magnets, and then it'll be really hard to repair the motor. So locate that, place it somewhere safe. Now the gears can be just removed.